Hey, welcome. We're just getting started. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. I'm Oliver the Wolf Guy. Welcome. What's up? And we are just kicking off. This is Ambassador Wolf Akutak. Her name means ice cream in Yupik. And what we're kicking off here, hey, welcome everybody. This live stream is just getting started. You are looking at my old lady. This is Ambassador Wolf Akutak. She is an Arctic wolf whose lines originate from Axel Heiberg Island in the high Arctic. Please feel free to introduce. Hey, Giddy, welcome. Yes, I appreciated that conversation. So I think I might have had a Kutuk out that time as well. For those of you that are just jumping in here, please feel free to introduce yourself. I'm always happy to know you. I'm Oliver the Wolf Guy. I'm the founder and executive director of the Tahoe Wolf Center. We are a 501c3 organization based in Northern California. We teach the world about wolves. And this evening, I am kicking off some fundraising activity. I rarely do this, but a Kutuk here. So we have my Alaskan Malamute Nepenthe is the black and white skunk-looking dog here. We call Malamute skunk wolves because it's funny. But a Kutuk here is actually the cousin of the animal actor that played Ghost on Game of Thrones. It is a very rare genetic lineage. And to my knowledge, there are no more pure animals in this lineage in captivity. A Kutuk is quite old. She's 14. But we just had a meeting with Viagen, which is a cloning company, and they are willing to accept her samples for potential future clones. And we would do something that they will clone a dog. They have cloned wolf dogs, actually. But what we are proposing with them is very, very different because ordinarily they incubate the embryos in dogs on the premises. But I want to keep wolf hormonal environment all the way through. And so our objective is to capture clean samples from her. The way they do that is they take a little punch biopsy from the ear and we will bank them. And I'm just, the first round of fundraising is simply for banking the samples. It's not a lot. It's about $1,500 to preserve the genetics forever. And those will be in trust to my nonprofit. And then we will consider in the near future, potentially, fertilizing an embryo from one of our other animals with the genetics of a Kutuk and then implanting them in one of our animals. It's they are willing to do it, although they did say it's at my own risk in terms of the cost being lost if it doesn't work out because it's out of their environment. But it's an ambitious project just because we would really like to maintain this unusual and unique genetics that are pretty much non-existent outside of the high Arctic, where we're never going to get animals from there again. So for those of you who are interested in supporting a really interesting project through my nonprofit, anything we raise here or any donations captured right now for the Tahoe Wolf Center at tahowolfcenter.org will be earmarked for cloning this wolf. The white one, obviously. The black and white one is an Alaskan Malamute. Oh, you guys did not pay attention to this small sapling here. Hold on. Take it easy. Let's not wipe out this little sapling. Sorry, I'm trying to be nice to this little tree. There we go. Thank you. It is a complicated plan. I'm well known for complicated plans. Everything I do with these animals is complicated because I'm an unusual purist in the sense that I'm really obsessed with understanding behavior and genetics. And so none of my animals are altered. which is super complicated during breeding season and even after, because hormonally intact animals are much more challenging with each other potentially. We're dealing with that at the moment. But yeah, so if you guys are interested in supporting a really interesting project, you can do that here. You can donate to the Tahoe Wolf Center. Any donations, supers, things like that, all that stuff is going to go directly towards this particular project. I'm happy to keep people updated with regular posts. So the phase one is that we secure the banking kit and have that shipped to our veterinarian, who will also be participating. And then the samples are taken, they're cryogenically frozen, and they're sent to Viagen, where they're kept essentially on ice. And then the next phase would be that when we have a female in estrus, we would capture some cells, and then we would swap out the DNA for the Arctic DNA here. And then we would fertilize and implant them in one of our animals. So the full project is probably going to cost us about $75,000. It's not a cheap project at all, but that's the only way. But to put that in perspective, for those of you that paid attention to the Colossal Biosciences direwolf freak show, they spent about $1 billion to do something that's much less genetically valuable. So just this would be and this is not a non-profit project. And if we end up with viable animals that are reproductive, then we can maintain these lines, which are, as I said, essentially gone outside of 2 islands where there is no chance of anybody recovering an animal from there lawfully. So with that in mind, if you guys want to support a really fun, interesting project, you can do that here. Hey, thank you very much. Welcome. God's mine. So feel free to introduce yourselves if you have questions about what we do. I'm Oliver the Wolf Guy. I am the founder and executive director of the Tahoe Wolf Center. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And today I'm explaining about why we're trying to raise a little bit of money. And it's just for a specific project, which is to bank clonable samples from this animal here, who's 14, because her genetics are extremely rare. This is Axel Heiberg derived genetics. And the Axel Heiberg Island and the Ellesmere Island wolves are some of the rarest and most interesting wolves on Earth. And the line I have has been, we got Coyote having a little. So I'll interrupt my pitch here for 1 second to tell you what's going on. Just give me 1 sec here, because I want to shorten up this leash for my little Malamute, because she's interfering with a Q-Talk here. Hold on a second. Sorry for the janky phone here. Hey, you guys stand still for a second. Come on, people. I have a knot here that I use to keep the Malamute where I want, but I gotta swap the line around a tiny bit, so just bear with me for 1 sec here while I handle that little gymnastics. Okay, there we go. All right, so the objective would be, that's a very good question. And I need to discuss with, so it's possible that somebody has some pure male DNA. It's a very, very astute question. It is possible, like that may be the only option, but just so you know, animals from that region are already, that's why they all look exactly the same, is that their coefficient of interrelatedness, we call that a COI, is already very high, because they're pool, their gene pool is very limited because of being an island species. So that already happens. Interesting, Madison. I'd be super curious to see a picture of your animal. If you have a channel, put a link in the comments. I'd love to check it out. Always interested to see other people's animals and get a little details on them, because there are so few Arctics out there. But this lineage of Halverson Arctics is basically extinct. And that's one of the reasons I want to do this. So anyway, Giddy, yes, the COI of these animals is in the 30s to 40s already. And that's pretty much like, you know, brother-sister kind of level inbreeding. For example, all of my other animals have a COI of around 4. So, and we've been very, very thoughtful in our accumulation of genetics, but there's just no other way to do it with these guys. But she's just been such an interesting and healthy and long-lived animal that it just seemed to me like watching those genetics wink out would be, you know, and we may not go any further than just gift the banked genetics at some point to a research institution, but at least we have them. And that's the most important thing, because, you know, once you've got an animal that's 14 years old, I mean, things can change very, very quickly. My Alaskan Malamute, who passed away last year, was doing awesome, and then he just crashed, and it turned out, you know, I mean, like, we had just run a full senior health panel, and hey, you chill. I don't know if you guys can all hear the coyote. So we're being escorted by, I know this coyote very, very well. I call him Barky for obvious reasons. Barky's a very old man. Barky's like 8 or 9 at least. And I'm sure Barky has pups right now in this area. Oh, and here's Barky. Oh, you guys are so lucky. This is Hey, Cooey, stand still. So they blend so amazingly well. There's Barky's mate right there. And then Barky is right there. You guys are so lucky you get to see this here. They're usually a little bit later at night in the dark. So hey, chill out. So they're escorting me, right? These are not a threat, obviously, to me. What they're doing is a lot of people think they're being stalked, right? And they get all freaked out about it. But what's really happening here is they are alarming, because obviously, a wolf is a threat to their pups potentially. And so they're just trying to push me along is what they're doing. And so he's just alarming and barking, and he's going to follow me at about 30 yards. He'll stay about where he is, maybe get a little closer. He knows me. We see this guy all the time. And so I'm just going to keep moving on. The Q-Tuck here is going to want to walk through a neighborhood because she likes to enforce that she's the queen of this entire town. And so she likes to walk through a place where other dogs are more often. Just like in Alabama. That's very funny. Yes, exactly. They're like the police escort, exactly. And he's just saying, come on, move along. And we are. We work very hard not to impact the native wildlife. I get in fights with people kind of routinely about coyotes, because there's just so much unfounded hatred for coyotes, who are such a valuable, interesting species. I tell people, you can have 2 coyotes in your neighborhood or 100 mice in your house. It's kind of your choice. Coyotes go through a lot of mice. That's their primary food source, is mice, voles, squirrels, rabbits, small rodents. They're solitary hunters typically. And you'll see that as we've moved, he's gotten quiet now, as we're probably outside the core where he's concerned about us. Do I worry for bears? Great question. No, because the only bears in this area, we have a huge population of black bears, but black bears are the big chickens of the bear world, frankly. They're extremely unusual for a black bear to attack a person most of the time when people get hurt by bears, it's just black bears. It's just because they got in the way and the bears ran them over like a car. That happens like if a bear gets in your house, they always go out the same way they came in. And so if like they busted down your front door and then you come in the front door and you're standing there, the bears may be like, oh no, there's people. And they go ripping through the door. And if you're in the way, they just run you over. And, you know, getting run over by a 400-pound animal with claws can do some damage to you. But predatory or even defensive attacks are actually incredibly rare. In fact, I'm on the board of an organization called the Bear League, and I'm one of their volunteers. And sometimes bears get under houses up here, and then they call me up, and I crawl under a house. Cooey, you're pulling so hard, it's just brutal. This animal's 14. She still pulls every second. It just destroys me. Like every step is like a triple impact because there's just all this tension on this line because she's pulling. Like she knows I'm going to go wherever she wants, but I'm just not fast enough. I'm just not fast enough for her, so she pulls me and pulls me. And of course I got a Malamute, and Malamutes don't know anything but pulling, so it's a pulling combo. Is it possible to tame a bear? Well, I have a friend, Casey Anderson, who has worked with a lot of bears. He has grizzly bears that he socialized. I wouldn't call it tamed. I'd say socialized. Same as wolves. You know, if you start when they're very, very small and you're really good at what you do, you can have, you know, a strong relationship. There is a guy who has a polar bear that he's hand raised who only likes him, basically. And his wife will let, there's some videos of people that have, you know, go to record this guy. Thanks, Kiwi. I'm just getting peppered here. But that's next level. I mean, he's a professional animal trainer, does stuff for film, and he has an amazing relationship with a polar bear, which is super cool. If I was 30 years younger, I might want to get into bears, but I know what I'm good at. I'm good at canids. So I stick with the canid clade and leave the bears to others. I tell my wife when I'm too old for wolves, I'll move down to coyotes and foxes. So that's a great question. Hold on. Hey, there's a car coming. Come here. Come here. Get back. Cooey, you too. Cooey, come on. Step back. Come here. I don't trust cars here. They just have no respect. So, great question about cancer. So here's what I can tell you. We have run some pretty intense diagnostic protocols with our animals, dogs included, to look ahead for cancer. We do a ton of blood work, and so we've got hundreds of panels that show health. But right now, there was an amazing test that looked for like 37 different cancers. And unfortunately, they pulled that test off the market. There's a test now called Oncotect that you could buy. You can do it at home and just send in the sample for the results. That looks for like, I think it's 9 of the most common canine cancers. And we're going to start running that test just to get a baseline. But there's another test our vet can run that's like 15 cancers. We run it every time. But the things that I know are the most important, right? Environmental. So, you know, exposure to potential carcinogens, principally glyphosate. So if you take your animal to anywhere grassy that's treated, anywhere that has landscaping, and they spend a lot of time sniffing because they sniff, you're exposing them to carcinogens. I believe that all commercial food has the potential to stimulate cancer development. And then finally, weight. We keep our animals skinny. They are skinny animals. Under this thick coat hair. Both of these animals are bony, right? There's just nothing like being skinny. And the other thing that really helps is what we call apoptosis. Giddy, that is an amazing question about cancer. And here's what I could tell you that we know is that wild animals don't live as long. Cancer tends to be a disease of accumulated cellular damage, right? That's why it occurs later in life. And so it could be that there would be more cancer in wild populations if they just lived long enough. So we don't tend to see it as an obvious cause of mortality in wild populations, but it may simply be a byproduct of short lives. So really good question. That is a really good question about CAR T. I honestly don't know if there's anybody. If there was, chances are it would be UC Davis. They are probably one of the. Our other animals are howling back at the habitat. I can hear them. I don't know if you guys can. It's getting a little dark. I'm gonna have to put on a headlamp here in a second. Let's see. Hold on, Kiwi. Figure out where she wants to walk through a neighborhood because that lets her post a lot of no trespassing signs here. But I see this car is being nice. They're just figuring out what I'm doing. We're gonna stand. Nepente, come here. Get out the way. Thank you. I don't know if they're actually being nice or just lost, but I'll take it. So I don't know about whether anybody is. We have been fortunate so far. But the other thing that we do is we stimulate apoptosis by giving our animals a fasting day about once every week to 10 days. We just, in the wild, that's the other thing is that in the wild, animals have a lot of apoptosis, which is, cell death and consumption, right? Weak cells die, they break down, the body consumes them for energy. And by stimulating that, right, in the wild, animals go hungry, right? They don't eat every day. We eat every day. Our pets eat every day. Nepente, it's cool. Hey, relax. It's a person with a soccer ball. Relax. Hey, don't be a loud face. How's it going? No, they're not. They're just curious. I got them. Nepente, relax. She thinks you want to play. So the white one is a Kutak, and then the black and white one is Nepente. Nepente! There you go. See, friend. Yeah, good training for sure. I don't think she'd seen that before, so she was like, what is going on? Right? Have a good one. Thank you. Right. Yeah, mine howl when I leave because I got a bunch of them. Thank you. Have a good one. Catching up with the messages here. The Bone Gang. We call them the Constellation Family Group since all their names are sort of astronomical. Sun, Moon, Fireball, Earth. She's the exception, but it's because she's a different subspecies. And of course now we've got a dog barking, and so she is, this is what I call a bitchy pin. It's a mohawk. See how she's walking all stiff with her hair standing up? She's just, all right, come on, no bitchy pants. She's just gonna walk by looking all mean. This is the whole reason she wants to walk this way, is just to do that one thing right there. Is just to say, I'm mean. Come on. All right, you got to show your mohawk. So, hey, Laurie, this animal here is 14, and that's one of the reasons we're doing this fundraiser is we want to bank her genetics with Viagen to potentially clone her because she is from a very rare lineage. And that lineage is essentially functionally extinct because there are no more reproductive animals. And so the only way to carry on the lineage will be through cloning. And so our objective is to capture the sample and bank it. And so we're doing a little bit of fundraising in order to do that. And then this animal here, Nepenthe, is just a little over a year. And she's a Malamute. And we got a guy here. This is in our town. We jokingly say it's a very small town, but there's 3 crazy people. This is an unusual moment because 2 of those 3 crazy people are right by each other. So this gentleman here, he's not crazy actually. He's really cool. He does lightsaber competitions, and so he walks around and he has a lightsaber with him. And Nepenthe's gonna freak out because she hasn't seen him, but it's super cool. Come on, leave it. Good. It's okay. He's a friend. Come on. How's it going? Good. I'm live streaming. I was just telling people about you. Beautiful. That's a new one, huh? I haven't seen the one that flashes color like that. That's way cool. Nice. Right on. You too. Yeah, so he's very cool, but people don't understand what he's doing. And then, of course, people see me, the dude with the backpack and the wolves, and they're like, that dude's nuts. So it's all good. It's all fun. Any contact with folks down at Wolfwood out near. So I don't know the folks at Wolfwood specifically. I do know, not that far from there is Mission Wolf. And the folks at Mission Wolf, Kent Weber, who runs that place, is one of my best friends. I've known that man for many, many years. Of the people who work with wolves, and I'm going to put on a headlamp because it's getting a little dark and I like to be visible. So bear with me while I put you in my little chest rig for just 1 second. So Kent is the guy I call for advice. He's the only other person that's been doing this continuously as long as me. He's taught more people about wolves, I think, than anybody in the world. I think he's probably at this point educated over 1 million people, most in person, which is just an insane lifetime accomplishment. Like if there's a hall of fame for people that have tried to help wolves, he's the charter member for sure. And there's some others that have done amazing work with wild wolves, etc. But for captive wolves and public education, he's the king for sure. So yeah, Larry, this whole direwolf thing, I mean, just to put it in perspective, this animal here is a cousin of Ghost from Game of Thrones. She is genetically pure, and I think that what they're doing is a publicity stunt. They'll never revive direwolves. They've got it's not even, so you have to understand what they did. They did not, for example, take actual direwolf DNA and splice it into embryos for another kind of animal. What they did is they decoded some sections of the genome, and then they gene edited a wolf hybrid, wolf dog, in 14 different places to alter those genes to resemble the genetic code from the decoded direwolf genome. And then they went and said that they brought back a direwolf, which is just an absurd exaggeration. That's why I call it a publicity stunt. With the amount of money they spend, they could have preserved tens of thousands of acres of wilderness for wolves that evolved to live now, right? Like, we didn't kill off dire wolves. They went extinct for a reason. They were outcompeted by other species. They were no longer fit for purpose genetically. And so the idea that we could bring them back is just science fiction. They raised a ton of money that could have been used for so many other truly beneficial scientific things. And the saddest thing of all is that the animals that they produced are clearly have genetic defects. To somebody who's spent their life looking at wolves and canids in general, they have very decided overbites, which is a defect. And if they have that defect, that comes with other defects for sure. These are not super vibrant, healthy animals. I doubt if they're going to live to be 14 and still be dragging somebody around and kicking ass. So I think that, I call them Franken wolf dogs. I'm sad for them. They didn't ask for that, nor did the animals that they used to be the surrogate wombs for them. There was a lot of, my understanding, it was very hard on those animals. They implanted 45 embryos. They got only 3 viable animals out of 45, which means there was a huge amount of attrition. And my understanding from some friends that were closer to the experiment was that there was considerable amount of suffering for those dogs. And so I'm not a fan of the project or the company. And I think that they just, they're harming wolf recovery. They're harming endangered species recovery, because now people are saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter if they go extinct. We can bring them back, which is just not true. It's just not true. I'm talking about functional extinction right now, and we can have a complete genetic sample, an intact, pure, complete genetic sample. We can do that. We can preserve that for the future for less than $2,000 and maintain something, right? But something that's been legitimately extinct for 13,000 years, and they're dealing with bone fragments with, they're never going to get the entire genetic code, and even if they did, they wouldn't be able to do anything with it. For those of you that are curious, yes, I'm deep into this topic. In fact, if you go to my channel, if you subscribe to my channel and you look on my live streams, I have an entire hour-plus deep dive into the whole direwolf experiment, where I go deeper than this. They're never going to bring back a woolly mammoth, right? They just turned on a gene that makes mice have a long coat. You know what's funny? This Malamute here has that same exact genetic particularity. So, Nepende, come here. You see how long and fuzzy her coat is? Come here. Hey, stop. Let's show everybody what a woolly looks like. Okay, so woolly mice, right? So Malamutes have, this is a great question. It's super fun. So Alaskan Malamutes have 3 different coat lengths, right? They have what they call standard, which is sort of the short bristly coat that you most commonly see. And then they have a long coat, which is still that bristly coat, but it's just a little fuzzier. And then they have this version, which they call a woolly coat, which is a very, very long, it's a softer coat. They tend to be fuzzier. Come here, look at me. She's like, their tails are all, see, all plumed, right? It's a fuzzy, plumy tail, very long, fuzzy. And they are called woolly Malamutes because of that long, like, see how fuzzy her butt is, and when they get older, their feet get very fuzzy. So that's the same mutation. And it's not really a mutation. It's just it's just a genetic difference that throws a different physical trait, right? It's just a woolly trait. So anyhow, for those of you that want to support our nonprofit and the potential maintenance of a very interesting, it's okay. She got surprised. You're all right. Oh, what happened? It's okay. Oh, don't be a loud face. Come on, you're fine. There's a dog barking, and then this person kind of appeared, and she's like, what just happened? You're fine. Yes, you are right, and you may know more about this than me, Macros. I am not a geneticist. I'm a conservation biology is my deal. I'm fascinated by the genetics, and I know something, but the complexity of recreating a genome of an extinct animal is science fiction for us at this point. Like, just because you have a picture of a mountain range doesn't mean you can build the mountain range from scratch, right? Like, maybe there are alien civilizations that have the ability to control matter and information at a level that intense, but we're not there, right? I mean, we can scan a rock, we can't make the rock over, and that's just a crystal lattice, I mean, but we can take a genetic sample and make a clone. We can do that. That is within our capabilities right now, and that's what I'm trying to accomplish with this ancient lady who's 14, is to make sure that these spectacular, interesting, rare genetics are preserved for the future. And I'm hoping that some of my supporters will decide to contribute to that project and be part of it. And for those that do contribute, I can keep you updated on the whole process. I will, the whole process will capture the banking, and just everything that we do will capture. And so people can understand and learn and participate vicariously. Welcome from Iowa, Kathleen. Thank you very much. Awoo, hey, Wolf from elsewhere. What's up? So for those of you that are just jumping on here, I have a very bright headlamp, so you will not be able to see me if I do this. It's just unfortunate, right? But the animals are way more interesting anyhow, and what I'm talking about mostly right now is genetic banking. Welcome from Missouri. Haha. So the white one here is a Kutak. She's one of our ambassador wolves at the Tahoe Wolf Center. She's my 14-year-old Arctic. They're both girls. Nepente. And Nepente is my Malamute companion dog. Nepente. And so Malamutes are a very wolfy breed of dog. We call them skunk wolves because it's funny, and it's because they're very wolfy, but they have skunk colors. They're not smelly, usually. And so the Akitak here is 14, and we're talking about taking genetic samples so that we can bank the genes and potentially clone her in the future. And we have arranged with a company that's capable of doing that to capture those samples and bank them, and then we'll figure out whether we want to move forward with the clones, but at least we'll have the option here. And we're trying to arrange to do that sooner rather than later because she's 14. And things change fast that's 98 years old and, dog years. So it's amazing how healthy she is, but we don't take anything for granted. And so, yeah, we're trying to make that plan right now just so that we don't regret it if we miss the window. She does not have hip dysplasia. She's got a little bit of arthritis in her low back, and she has some arthritis in a knee. She tore a cruciate ligament like 4 years ago, and then she injured this happens a lot. Then she injured the other leg, and we decided that another surgery and the recovery process was going to be really tough. It's hard to keep an animal like this pinned down. And so we just did a bunch of stem cell therapy, both locally and IV. And the leg appears stable. She definitely has a little arthritis. When she gets up, you can really see it. But I'm 57, and when I get up, you can see my arthritis too. So we're really happy with her condition. We, when animals are this age, we run 3 senior panels a year. And so that we keep a really solid baseline, and if anything starts to go wrong, we have the best chance of managing it, right? You're not curing any age-related disease, but you can certainly manage them effectively with really good care. And for example, our Malamute, who lived to 14, when he was 12, he started showing signs of diabetes. We were able to keep his kidneys really healthy right up until the end of his life, and he just sort of had general organ failure from old age. So, our program is pretty involved for health, but you have to accept. It's hard for me to accept because this animal here is the love of my life. My wife once asked me how much I love this animal, and I said to her, well, let me put it to you this way. If a train was coming and only one of us was going to make it, then you better take good care of the dog, because I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So she's everything. And I know I can't keep her around forever, but I can keep her genetics around for the future. So, hey, Kathleen, there are definitely white wolves out there, but what's special is this exact lineage is very, very unique. There were just a few of these animals that came off of Axel Heiberg Island in the 60s, and I know every single one of them, and she is pretty much the last one standing that's truly direct from that lineage without any so there's definitely some friends of mine have Arctic wolves for sure, but they are typically Canadian Arctics. They're not Ellesmere or Axel Heiberg Island Arctics, because it's illegal to get an animal off those islands. So but yeah, if you want to see, it's amazing. These animals are so genetically bottlenecked that they all look like clones already. If you go to, for example, Snow Wolf Family and Me, or Kingdom of the White Wolf, both of which were filmed on Ellesmere Island in the high Arctic, you'll be like, oh my God, they all look exactly like this. They look exactly like this. And they all look exactly like each other. It's just crazy. They're the most, in other places, wolves have a tremendous amount of variability in their appearance. But in the high Arctic on those two islands, they're all so interrelated because there's just such a small population that they just all look exactly the same. They all have very, very long legs. They don't get these fat tails like other Arctic subspecies. They tend to have exactly the same sort of very slight caping over their shoulders. It's crazy. They're a very beautiful subspecies for sure. Of all Arctic subspecies of wolf, they're the leggiest by far. And the reason is that on those two islands, at the time when these animals have pups, and they can't travel, their primary prey sources are caribou and muskoxen, which are both migratory. And so the wolves themselves are nomadic most of the time. But when they have puppies, they can't be nomadic. And their evolutionary strategy is that those pups are born in early spring, kind of early to mid-spring. Come on, let's go this way. And it's the same time as the Arctic hare are having all of their leverets. And so hold on, I gotta do a little leash thing here. So I'm putting you guys all in my chest rig for 1 second here. I don't like it when Nepente's leash here gets in Akutak's way. I gotta relocate it here. Hey, guys, hold on. Be patient with me, people. I call them people. And thank you, people who are viewing, for being patient with me also. All right, where are we gonna go? You're gonna go this way? Oh my goodness. Okay, so the point of the legginess is Arctic hare are some of the fastest creatures on Earth. And if you don't have long, fast legs and a skinny, lithe body, you starve. And so this subspecies of Arctic wolf has been honed by evolution to have these amazing big feet and long legs and sort of a lightweight, thin body. Furrow, dude. Thanks, buddy. Furrow's a very dear friend of mine. fellow wolf expert. And so Furrow, we're going to try to get her cloned. We don't want these Halverson lines to go blink out, so we're raising a little bit of money to bank the genetics now. Can you believe she's 14, man? So it's about 50,000 to clone, but the way we want to do it is going to be more. But right now, all we want to do is bank. We just want to bank the genetics first, and then we'll figure everything else out after, because I have some very specific requirements. Well, we just started just now, so the fundraising is for this live stream. The fundraising is $3. My friend Furrow is the first. He's always the first. It pisses me off because he's too generous, and but I'm eternally grateful for his support and friendship, and we have some deep ties, Furrow and me. Yeah, right. Kiwi's 14. Can't believe it. Princess Bitchy Pants in the house, still giving everyone a Bitchy Pants mohawk. Seven is good. Yeah, our Icknick will be 6 in, my God, 11 days. Furrow, you should see Icknick. He's starting to look white now. Like he was the last one to stay pretty black, I think, but now he's starting to silver up just like Athens. Still the nicest boy I got. I doubt if I'll ever have a wolf nicer than Icknick. He's just one of a kind nice. Do I upload our lives? I'm not sure what that means. Maybe you can clarify that for me. So for those of you who might have just jumped into the conversation here, I'm Oliver the Wolf Guy. I'm going to try to give you a little view of me, but it's bad because the headlamp, obviously. I'm out here in the woods in the dark. But the thing that matters most are the 2 canines with me. The white one with the long legs and the gigantic feet is our Arctic Wolf Ambassador, Akitak, also known as Princess Bitchy Pants. Her emojis are Ghost Pepper Ice Cream. And then my Malamute companion animal, Nepenthe, who was raised by wolves, and she's the wolfiest Malamute you've ever seen. She pretty much thinks she's a wolf, which is not always the best. Sure, her bark tries to write checks. Her bite can't cash sometimes. So we have to be a little protective of her because she doesn't realize she could lose a fight. She's spicy. Oh, yes. So I understand now. My lives. I got you. Misinterpreted there. So yes, we save all the live streams onto the channel so you can watch the whole thing later if that's your interest. And then the one I mentioned about the direwolves is right there. You just go to my lives on my channel. And most of that content's public. If it's educational, it's public, typically. Sometimes I do release stuff just for my channel members first. And then they have some other bennies. Like for subscribers to the channel, they can also, for example, tell me which animals they'd like to have some high-res pictures. I'll create a Dropbox for them. And if you very high-res pictures that you could have printed or enlarged to be posters or whatever you like. When I take requests, I shoot all those pretty much bespoke for people. That's one of the benefits if you join the channel. Mike, thank you. Appreciate you so much. My supporters. The ones that are already supporting me more. It's awesome. So what we're going to do, worked with Viagen. I talked to them. That's the company we're going to work with because they're pretty flexible. They did some wolves, some Arctic wolves actually for China. So we know what can be done. My project is a bit more specific because they gestate those embryo in dogs. But I want to gestate the embryos in my own animals so that they have a full wolf. We're not going to go that way. She is pulling me and pulling me. Come on, let's go this way. Come on, come on. Thank you. Come on. Let's go up the hill in the dark, like we always. So yeah, we want to, and that's they basically said we'll do that, but if it doesn't work, it's, you know, you're rolling the dice with a lot of money. We don't guarantee it that way. But I really want the entire hormonal chemical envelope to be right. Yes, I think it's really interesting that they're so unique. They're really, in many respects, these and the coastal wolves of British Columbia that live on a couple islands there, which they're now called sea wolves. And I actually wrote a brief to the IUCN asking them to consider a new subspecific designation for those sea wolves as Canis lupus maritimus, because they are unquestionably a subspecies. They eat differently. They reproduce within a pretty small population. They have other characteristics that are unique. That's a subspecies. I mean, as much as Arctic wolves are a subspecies, those coastal wolves should be a subspecies, and then they would be designated for protection. She's letting whatever dog pooped there know that it's trespassing. That's what she's doing there. How did I get into this profession? Oh, well, so it's a long story. I'll make very short. My family was a ranching family. We weren't fans of wolves. My mom read me this book about wolves when I was like 4. And I was sort of a contrarian little kid. And I was like, why do we hate them so much? I kind of like them. And that just set me on this path of just complete fascination. I studied carnivore biology at university. I founded a nonprofit to work directly with the species because I realized that working for government agencies did not give me the flexibility to really engage with the animal or educate the public on a big way. And so I realized I had to have a different career in order to do that. So in my life, I've been an executive, an entrepreneur, an author. I had the 12th licensed cannabis business in California. And my wife is a world-class chef who operates restaurants. I help her get the restaurant open, and then she runs it. But most of my time is spent focused on this nonprofit, teaching the public, writing, educating, social media. And then recently, people said to me that, I'm very concerned about this whole toxic alpha myth. I really hate this whole Joe Rogan alpha idea personified by people like Andrew Tate who are giving kids a really bad idea. And so now I'm also doing some executive coaching, corporate coaching, and speaking about better for not by, the myth of wolf behavior. So if you're this and you're an exec who wants to have a different means of leading high-performing teams based on science, put just say contact me in the comments and I will send you a link to a contact form. We can talk because we have a entire framework called the Benevolent Alpha Framework that is totally science-based. It aligns with all of the best leadership models that are coming out of universities, only with this interesting lens of nature that I think is very approachable, which people appreciate and can emulate. Thank you. Yes, it's been a long journey, but that was my through line for sure. It was wolves, wolves, wolves. Started with wolf stuffed animals, and now I got spicy ones. What are you looking at? So, I think that the most unique adaptations are this subspecies, these Ellesmere Island Arctics. I think they're the most unique, and then the coastal wolves I was just talking about, just because they're so different. Pretty much all the other wolves are amazing generalists, but I think that you could put any of the other wolves anywhere and they would do okay, but they would have the hardest time if you put, if you put typical gray wolves in that coastal environment. I think they would have a hard time. And if you put any subspecies of wolf in the Ellesmere Island, Axel Heiberg Island ecosystem, they would have a hard time. Mainly because I just don't think they're fast enough. I think that they would really suffer during breeding season to get enough food hunting rabbits. These wolves are incredibly fast. A Kutok's sibling, they did a really cool experiment. They got the animal to be really interested in chasing lures, and then they took her out to a airstrip, and they dragged a lure behind a car and let her chase the lure, and she could run 42 miles an hour, which is insanely fast. The only animals I'm aware of that are faster in a straight line are pronghorn and cheetah. So it's just insanely fast. I mean, wolves are fast. They're in the 30s for sure, but 42 miles an hour is just insane. Thank you very much, Laurie. Yeah, we're just about 5 minutes from being all through with the patrol we took this evening. And again, for those of you who found this talk and this live stream interesting and you want to support our work, everything that comes in here goes to support TahoeWolfCenter.org. And right now we are fundraising for this genetic capture and preservation. We are a 501c3. The other ways you could support the work, I wrote a book called The Wolf Lover's Guide to Raising Dogs. Your dog will love you more if you read that book and take inspiration from what's there, for sure. That book supports the nonprofit. Direct donations obviously support the nonprofit. Supers and other gifts here, channel subscriptions, and any merch you purchase, less the cost of the merch itself, all supports a nonprofit. And for those of you, again, who are interested in something a bit more involved, which is our Benevolent Alpha executive coaching and corporate training, that's a high ticket offer. You have to contact me and we can talk about whether it's a good program for you. And just put Benevolent Alpha in the comments if you're interested in that, and then we can get you on a calendar to have a real conversation specifically about that. And I can share that framework and learn about you and your individual or corporate requirements. As a retired executive, I've seen a lot of challenges for people who have done that work, and I know that there's opportunities to do amazing things there, so I'm inspired to work with people there. Come on, we're gonna go this way. Come on, Kiwi. Come on, let's cut through here. Oh, she's so strong. Come on, we're gonna go this way, both of you. Come on. The bed day. Thank you. Right. Cut through the woods into my property. Oh. Just reading here, some interesting stuff here. Thank you, Furrow. Yeah, I mean, this is such an interesting conversation, right? We are just scratching the surface of what's possible with genetics, and I'm excited to be able to have some tiny little contribution to that. That's why I'm interested to do that. Would subject her to. It's a pretty minor procedure. All you do is take a little punch out of the ear and capture the DNA that way, and then everything else is non-invasive for her. Can we? You guys are just standing here looking at something. Come on. I was sneaking in the back gate here. Come on. With all the other animals in the front, it's just easier to sneak around them this way this evening. All right, hey, Nepente, come on. All right, come on. Both of yous. You're not used to this gate. Come on, Nepente, come on. Thank you. I only use this gate when, sorry guys. What did I do there? I hit the accidental green screen. That was fun. Oop. All right, done. Oop, yep, it was accidental. I have huge hands. When I'm handling this phone, it's super easy for me to hit the wrong button. Hang on a sec, folks. I'm gonna, once again, stick here in my little chest rig for 1 second so I can release these hounds. Hopefully they will never hurt me. Come here. Bonus Game of Thrones reference there. My hounds will never hurt me. You said it yourself. You haven't fed them for 7 days. That was probably my favorite scene of Game of Thrones, by the way. Ramsay Bolton's very deserved comeuppance. He was a good character. When you truly hate a character, you know the actor did a good job, right? Apparently I don't know the name of the actors. I don't give a crap about that stuff. But I will tell you that apparently the actor that played Joffrey, he was so good that he's so hated that he basically ruined his career, he says. That people hate him so much, which is kind of funny. It's sort of tragic that he was so hateful that he ruined his career. I kind of love that. All right. Let's see here. Make sure I don't accidentally grow on the Wi-Fi and mess this up. So for those of you that hung out for a minute here, a little bonus, we're going to go see everybody else. I am probably going to go get mauled here. When I come through this airlock and I see Sunny, Mooney, Noonie, and Icknick, they're probably going to claw the crap out of me. That's why I wear the stuff I wear, is for this exact purpose, which is the exuberant greeting I'm about to get here. So those of you that hung in there, here we go. Oh, hi, Noonie. Noonie gives the best hellos. That's a Noonie hello. And he's just, he's got the funniest vocalizations of all of my animals. Hi, Noonie. Oh, and here's everybody. All right, let me out. No, you guys aren't coming this way. Back. No, Nepente. No, don't start shit. This is why I say her bark is a problem. Is she? Nope. Oh, I got through the airlock without anybody getting into it. Oh, almost. Uh-oh. All right. Almost. You guys are going to have to bear with me for a second, because Nepente picks fights, and I can't have her picking fights. So now I got to get Sunny out of there. That's what all right, you guys are all in the wrong place. All right, nope. That's what happens when you try to do things with one hand. You guys are getting to see firsthand some complicated stuff here. Nope. Oh, all right. right. All right, get out. You too. Get out. All right. I'm sorry. All right. Enough of that. Little fence fight happening. Okay, we're done. Hey, we're done. We're done. We're done. My Malamute maid is making a problem for everybody. Hi, Sonny. Hi, Mooney. All right. This is one of those fun complications of the work I do. And this is why we have airlocks. All right. No. Get down. Everybody's aggro. What I really want is for Noonie to come out. Come on, Noonie. Nope. You guys are getting to see firsthand some of the more challenging aspects of wolf husbandry here. Noonie, come on. Yep. All right. All right. Stop it. All right. So I'm going to probably have to wrap this up so I have my backpack off and can manage my situation here before people get eaten. Yes. Hey, you stay down. All right. Yeah. Stop it. You're being naughty. Okay. All right, folks. Well, a little excitement here right at the end. I'm going to wrap this up so I can manage this appropriately because I have to get Noonie out of the airlock without having Sonny or Mooney get in the airlock because Nepente is standing there stirring up trouble, which is unfortunate. Noonie, you going to come out? No, you're a troublemaker. I know. It's her fault, but come on, Noonie. All right. So we managed to end that problem. And when I move away from the airlock, they will too. And that's why we have that airlock. Hey! All right. I got to put Nepente in the house because she's the one that's stirring up the trouble here. All right. Come on. I'm going to pull some wood down here real quick so that she doesn't have a chance to jump over that. Watch out. This is all fun and games till somebody bites somebody. Right. Okay. That was Nepente. Hey, Nepente, you're so naughty. One of the things you can see here with this little challenge I just had was that nobody bit me as excited as they were, right? And we definitely have her activated. She really hates that Malamute. It's unfortunate. They used to love each other so much, but then they had some kind of a little skirmish, and ever since then, they have both wanted to kill each other. And unfortunately, the Malamute is not a match for the wolf. So here's my plan. I'm going to get her in the house here. Hi. You're a nice boy. He's the nicest. The boys are easy. It's the girls that are a problem. Consistently. All right. Okay, so anyhow, we got that little drama sorted out there. Okay, folks. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for hanging out with me for an hour and 10 minutes. And once again, if you want to support our Mooney, I don't trust Mooney. I got to go see what's going on with Mooney. It's my fault for going through there with a pack on. All right, come on, Mooney. Mooney. Come on. You. She's the sweetest thing to me, and then she's the killer of that dog. All right. Anyhow, if you guys want to boop, here, come here. Come here. I'll boop him for you. Come here. Come here. I'm going to boop you for Giddy. Boop, boop, boop. There. He's been booped. You too. Boop. 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 Mooney's not the most boopable right now. She's figuring out ways to kill the dog, which is sort of a high stakes environment for sure. Mooney. See? Oh, you tell her. But yeah, she's in bitchy pants mode, so I'm gonna go get that dog in the house before that dog gets herself eaten. Let me just. Hey, hon.